I swear to you, I didn't believe in any of this before. Ghosts, curses, mirrors that show things that aren't tea. They're bedtime stories for kids who can tea sleep. But that was before I found the cabin. Before I found what waits inside the glass. It started last October. I needed a break. Too much noise in the city. Too many eyes watching me at work, judging my every move. One rented this old cabin, upstate. A simple place. Creaky porch. Dusty fireplace. No internet. Perfect. The first night was fine. Cold. But the fire kept the dark from pressing in too close. I found an old bottle of bourbon in a kitchen drawer, half full and dusty. Like whoever left it there had meant to come back. I drank a shot, then another. By midnight, the forest outside felt miles away. I didn't notice the mirror until I went to brush my teeth. It hung crooked over the bathroom sink. Tall, old, its frame chipped and dark with age. The glass was warped, like the cabin had swallowed part of it. I saw my own reflection, staring back, eyes heavy from drink, face pale in the harsh light. I laughed at myself, waved, left the light on. But when I woke up around 3, the bathroom door was open, and the light was off. I swear, I heard whispering, faint like wind through pine. But when I stood at the doorway, the only sound was my heart thumping too loud in my ears. I told myself it was the bourbon. That's what I do. Always a logical answer. I shut the door, crawled back under the quilt, pulled it over my head like I was 6 years old. I don't remember falling asleep again. But when I woke up the next morning, the mirror was gone. Or I thought it was. I stumbled to the bathroom to splash water on my face and found an empty wall, the old nail still jutting out. Maybe I'd imagined the whole thing. Maybe it was never there. The bourbon bottle was empty on the table. I blamed. That should have been enough to make me leave. By the silence, the way it wrapped around me out there. It felt too good to give up. The next night I stoked the fire higher, kept my phone, flashlight in my pocket just in case. Didn't drink, not a drop. I was determined to prove to myself it had been nothing but a drunken dream. At midnight, the scratching started. Not from the door, not from the windows, from inside the bathroom wall. A slow, dry scrape, nails on old wood. It stopped when I stood up, started again when I sat back down. I waited an hour before I cracked the door. The scratching stopped. I flicked on the bathroom light, and there it was. The mirror, back where it had been, crooked as ever, bit only now. The glass was darker, greasy, like something had pressed against it. From the other side, my reflection looked wrong, blurred, the eyes too deep, too shadowed. My mouth twitched in the mirror, even though my real mouth stayed frozen shut. I waved a hand. The reflection lagged behind, as if it had to remember what to do. I slammed the door. I thought about driving back to the city right then, but the dark outside felt thicker than the dark inside. I barricaded the bathroom door with a chair and pushed the dresser in front of it for good measure. I didn't sleep all night. I listened to that same faint whispering, weaving through the logs of the cabin like smoke. Words I couldn't catch. A voice that sounded like mine, but deeper, wet, gargling through broken teeth. At dawn, the whisper stopped. I found the bathroom door wide open again. The dresser and chair neatly set back in place like I'd never moved them. The mirror was gone by. In its place, carved into the wall, was a single word. Look. I packed my bag. I grabbed my keys. I told myself to just run, but instead, I found myself standing in front of the empty space on the wall, touching the splinters where the mirror had hung. Something shifted behind me, just a flicker in the corner of my eye. I spun around. Nothing but the sink, the cracked tiles, the mildewed shower curtain. Birth. When I looked back, the mirror was there again. This time, the reflection wasn't mine. It was my face, but not me. Older, gaunt skin stretched tight over bone. Eyes black as oil. Its mouth moved, but the sound came from inside my own head. Stay. I don't remember smashing the mirror. I don't remember cutting my hands to ribbons on the shards. I just remember running outside barefoot into the freezing dawn, the forest swallowing me whole. I left my car keys on the kitchen table, my bag on the bed. I don't know why. Maybe I knew it wouldn't matter. I stumbled for what felt like hours, branches tearing my clothes, mud sucking at my feet. Boom. When the sun rose fully, I was standing at the front steps of the cabin again, the door wide open, waiting. I haven't left since. I've tried. I swear, I've tried. Every path leads me back here. Every trail curves until I see the crooked roofline through the trees. Some nights, the mirror stays gone. Some nights, I see my face inside every pane of glass. Windows, old picture frames, a puddle outside when it rains. And every time, it looks more like him. The thing that wears my skin, that calls my name in my own voice. Last night, it told me what it wants. It wants you. It wants your eyes on its glass. It wants you to look. So, I'm telling you now, don't come here. If you find yourself on an old road that winds too deep into the pines, turn around. If you see a cabin with smoke curling up from a chimney that shouldn't tea-burn anymore, keep driving. And if you see your own reflection waving at you from the window before you even knock, don't wave back. Don't stay. And whatever you do, don't look too long. I hear it whispering now, behind the walls. The mirror's waiting for me again. So I'll leave you with this. If you see your face tonight, and it smiles before you do, you know where it learned that trick. Boom. You know where I am, and you know where you're going next. You ever hear scratching under your bed? When I was a kid, I'd lie awake and swear something lived under there. Claws on old wood, breathing slow and hungry. I'd cry for my mom, and she'd laugh, pull the covers tight, Promise me monsters won't real, but there, I know it will. Because last winter I found one, dire, and I fell. It started when my uncle died, left me this broken cabin deep in the pines. Everyone in town called it bad luck, said he went mad up there. I didn't care. Free place to hide from my own mess. A fresh start, or so I told myself. I brought enough food for a week, enough whiskey. The first few nights were fine. Cold winds rattling the roof, snow piling up outside. The fire coughing smoke like the old chimney forgot how to burn. It was the fourth night I heard it, a dragging sound under the floorboards, slow as wet rope. Been scratching nails or something sharper, something hungry. I told myself it was mice, maybe a raccoon trapped under the foundation. I stomped the floor, made noise, poured another drink. The scratching stopped, but the next night it came back, louder, closer. This time I pressed my ear to the floor. Beneath the old rugs, the wood was iced cold. I swear I felt breath through the cracks, warm, rancid, like meat left too long in a dark fridge. The storm outside was howling so high I couldn't dream if I wanted to. I wedged a chair against the door. Like that would help. Climbed into bed with my boots on. The scraping didn't stop. At midnight, I dreamed I was a kid again, peeking under my bed, waiting for something to grab my face and drag me under. But when I opened my eyes, I was on the floor, face pressed to the boards, nose bleeding from a fresh splinter. I don't remember crawling down there, but I do remember what I heard. A voice. Not words, just a low, wet sound, like a throat learning how to shape a name. My name. I spent the next day boarding up cracks, stuffing rags into walls. I didn't want to hear it anymore, but at sunset I felt the boards bulge under my feet. Something heavy pressed up from below, slow at first, then faster, like fists pounding through rotten wood. The pantry door rattled open. On its own, a can of beans rolled out. Hit my head. The pounding stopped. I stared at the can, then at the floor. I don't know why I did it. Maybe I was just tired, or maybe part of me believed feeding it would make it stop. I opened the can, pried up a loose plank near the fireplace. Cold air hit my face, but not empty. I saw wet eyes gleaming in the dark crawl space. The smell hit me like sour milk and dead leaves. I pushed the beans through the crack. The eyes blinked. Then the scraping began again. Softer this time, like claws gently tapping thanks. That night I dreamed about my uncle. I saw him crawling under the floor, skin pale, lips torn, whispering, "It gets hungry. Don't let it get hungry." I woke up, gasping, hands raw from clutching the planks, so tight they split under my nails. The next day I gave it bread, cheese, a strip of jerky, anything I had. Each night it asked for more, scratching the floor near my bed if I slept too long, rattling the walls if I ignored it. By the sixth night, I'd emptied my No more cans, no more bread, just me. A half bottle of whiskey and the dark thing under my feet. When I didn't feed it scratched louder. The floor shook like a heartbeat under my boots. I curled up in the corner by the fireplace, blanket over my ears, but I could still hear it. My name drawn out, long and sweet, like it was tasting every letter. When dawn came, I found the floor by the hearth cracked open, wide enough for me to see what I'd run through it. It wasn't a man, not exactly. Pale hands, long fingers with claws instead of nails. A vase, thin and wrong, mouths too wide, eyes small and human. It smiled when it saw me looking, scraped its claws on the beams until splinters rained like snow. I don't know how long I sat there. It didn't move, just stared and waited. Every few minutes, it would lick its lips, teeth clicking like dry bones. I knew what it wanted. I knew I was next. I grabbed my uncle's old shotgun, jammed shells into the chamber with shaking hands. I aimed at the hole. The thing didn't flinch, just smiled wider. Voice bubbling up through broken teeth. Buy, hungry, buy, pulled the trigger. Wood exploded. The thing shrieked, high, sharp, almost human. I fired again and again until the hole was a splintered pit and the cold air stank of wet blood. Then silence. No scratching, no whispering. I thought I'd killed it. I almost laughed. I was ready to burn the whole cabin down and crawl through the snow if I had to. But when I stood over the hole, I saw it wasn't empty. The thing was deeper now, down a tunnel of wet roots and soil, dragging itself lower. Its eyes never left mine. Its mouth moved around my name one last time. Then it was gone. Finally, sealed the hole with planks and nails. Used every board I could find. But sometimes at night, I still hear faint scratching, far below, patient and slow. I left that cabin when the thaw came. Never looked back, never told anyone what I saw, who'd believe me. But sometimes when I lie awake, I feel that old heartbeat on my mattress. I hear the wood creak like breath. I think my uncle was right. Bifine doesn't die. It just waits. Wonder. When I'm too tired to fight, too hungry to care, I know where I'm going. I'll go back to the cabin. I'll knock the boards loose, and I'll feed it what it's always wanted. My grandfather always told me never to sleep in Hollowroot. I thought it was just an old man-esque ghost story. A way to keep me out of the woods behind our family farm. He'd say, if you find the old cabin, turn around. Don't knock. Don't speak. Don't breathe a promise near its walls. I didn't believe him. Not then. Last fall, I went looking for the cabin. I told myself I was just curious. Truth is, my life was falling apart. A divorce I couldn't drink away. Debts I couldn't outrun. And no family left, but a memory of my grandfather's warnings. Parlour root was all that was left of him. A patch of forest no one had touched in decades. So I packed a bag, a bottle, and the pistol he'd left me, and hiked in just as the first frost turned to the pine's silver. It didn't take long to find it, like the forest wanted me to. An old hunter's trail, half swallowed by brambles, led me straight to a clearing where the wind died and the sky seemed to lean down too close. The cabin stood at the center, squat, crooked, sagging under moss and tile. A rotten deer skull hung above the door. Bits of old rope dangled from the porch beams, like someone had tried to bind the place shut with knots they forgot how to untie. I should have turned back. I should have listened to his voice echoing in my head. Don't knock. But I was angry. At my failures. At the cold. At the memory of every lie he'd told to keep me a scared little boy. So I stepped inside. The first thing I noticed was how warm it was. Not cozy, stifling. Bit Beth, sour with mold and something sweet underneath. Old candles, maybe, or old blood. The walls were covered in carvings, circles, inside circles, lines that twisted like roots, choking each other. Names, too, dozens of them, etched in shaky hands. Some were half scratched out, buried under fresh marks. In the center of the floor was a trap. The edges black with soot, like someone had tried to burn it shut. I didn't open it, not yet. I made a fire in the old stone hearth, poured myself to fingers of whiskey, sat by the flames and waited for something to happen. Nothing did, for a while. Around midnight, I heard the whispers. At first, I thought it was the wind clawing through the rotten board, but the voice was inside, soft and patient, like it had been waiting. Say your name. I told myself I'd had too much to drink. I threw another log on the fire. Boom. The voice came again, closer, threading through the cracks in the walls like smoke. Say your name. Leave it here. I remembered how my grandfather would tap his throat when he talked about the cabin. It wants your voice, he'd said. It wants to keep something that can't run. I poured whiskey over the floorboards, hoping the fire would drown it out. But the flames just danced in the carvings, shadows twisting like worms under the wood. Pah! I shouted my name, out of spite, out of fear. But the whisper laughed when I did. Ha ha ha! I heard it under my skin, under my tongue, repeating my name in a dozen different voices that all sounded like mine. Then the trapdoor creaked. I stared at it, watched it pulse like a wound. Grit. Something knocked 3 times from beneath. Slow, wet. I told myself I'd leave at dawn. That I'd wait it out. But the voice didn't stop. It filled my head, my chest, like it was pushing my blood aside to make room for itself. I must have fallen asleep or passed out, because when I woke, the trapdoor was open. The fire was cold, and something was sitting across from me. It looked like my grandfather. Same old flannel coat, same hands, knotted with arthritis, but his eyes were black pits, and when he smiled, his teeth were too many and too sharp. He didn't speak, just pointed at the trapdoor, then at me. I felt my body stand up before my mind caught up, like I was just bones on strings. I walked to the hole, peered down, darkness, but not empty. I heard the same whispers, dozens of voices stitched together, my name bubbling through each one. Bye. I really did, but my feet kept moving, knees bending, lowering me into the dark. The wood was slick, not with water, but something thicker. I slid down, landing in shallow muck. The air was choking, sweet rot and candle smoke and something like iron. Shapes shifted in the shadows, or what was left of them. Bay, faces half-carved from wood and meat, eyes blinking open with my grandfather's smile stitched to every mouth. One stepped forward, its chest split open, ribs curled like roots. Inside, a tangle of tongues whispered my name. I turned to climb out, but the ladder was gone. The trapdoor above sealed shut, leaving only a faint circle of flickering light. Leave it here, the voices breathed. Leave your name. Stay empty. I don't know how long I fought. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I wanted to know what he'd hidden down here all those years. Maybe I wanted to be free of everything I'd dragged into these woods. I opened my mouth. I felt the first syllables slip out, a piece of myself tearing loose like a tooth. Blisper swallowed it, soft and hungry. They found me 3 days later, wandering the tree line, barefoot and half-frozen. I don't remember getting out, but the townsfolk said they heard me before they saw me, chanting something low and cracked, like a prayer chewed to pieces. I can't say my name anymore. I try, but it dies in my throat, like a secret that forgot how to breathe. Sometimes, at night, I hear it echo from my chest. My voice, still down there, still whispering through the dirt, waiting for someone to knock.